A fiery showdown erupted on GB News as political commentator Duncan Barks-Lamont went head-to-head with furious guests over the government's decision to keep migrants in the controversial BOMBSHELL hotel in Epping. What began as a debate over human rights versus local safety quickly escalated into a blistering clash, with accusations of lying, hypocrisy and betrayal flying across the studio. The sparks intensified as one side insisted asylum seekers' rights must come first, while the other warned that British families were being abandoned. By the end, the atmosphere was electric, leaving the studio on the brink of explosion. Watch the full clip to see the drama unfold, and don't forget to subscribe for more fiery debates. Share your thoughts in the comments. Was the government right, or did they betray the people? Did you know over 95% of our viewers aren't subscribed? Subscribing is free and helps us create more great content. Hit subscribe now and join our community.
We're in government, will come out of the convention. We also know that there are former Labour grandees like Jack Straw and Lord Blunkett who have said, let's suspend our relationship with the convention so we're able to deport people. And there's a rump of Red Wall Labour MPs who are getting this issue on the doorstep about illegal migration, saying we need to do something about our role or our signatory of the ECHR. So you're never too far away from this human rights law when it comes to this whole debate. No, and I mean, the bottom line is, and what people will throw at the government time and time again over an issue like this is, quite rightly, the first duty of government is the protection of its people. Yeah, I mean, I've always said this. I think there are people, as we know, who have got rightly concerns about the levels of migration to this country, but the very basic duty of any government is to protect its borders, right, and to keep the borders of a country safe. And we saw it with the Conservative government. They failed to do it with these illegal channel crossings, and we're seeing it again with Labour. And I think most people just have concerns, and we talked about it at length on GB News, that a lot of the people who are crossing the channel illegally, who are being put up in these hotels in places like Epping, we don't know anything about them. We don't know their background. You can also then make the link that some of these people will come from cultures where the rights of women are negligible, they don't exist. The culture has a very different approach regarding how you treat females, and those people are coming to this country and you're going to get a clash. And we've seen it, haven't we, with the ongoing court cases. And the various charges that have been made against some of the migrants in hotels.
I mean, if this judgment is upheld today, there will be wider ramifications, won't there, for the whole asylum model? Because we could see councils across the country looking into their own set of legal actions.
Exactly. So, as I mentioned earlier, we have around 3,000 migrants in hotels across the country. If the government loses this appeal and the migrants have to go and move out of the BOMBSHELL hotel in Epping by the 12th of September, it opens up a massive can of worms. We're going to see plenty of councils going, right, well, we're going to have a pop at using the same bit of legislation and planning law to say you can't have migrants in that hotel. And then, of course, if they start to win these particular cases, where do the migrants go?
Yeah. That's the thing, isn't it?
It's going to be it's not a great end to Keir Starmer's summer-August holiday.
No, it's not. Obviously, this has gone to the Court of Appeal, and the Home Office is making the case that the human rights of asylum seekers who are coming to Britain are paramount. And I do think in a lot of this debate, which has become unbelievably heated, we do have to remember that while we know many of the people who are coming across on small boats are economic migrants, and many of them are young men, not all of them are. And there are genuine asylum seekers who are coming to Britain, who are fleeing conflict in places like Afghanistan and Eritrea and Sudan. And if they're sent back there under Nigel Farage's plan, they could be tortured and killed. And I do think it's really important to acknowledge that. And that's not to say that everybody who's coming is in that boat, no pun intended, but some of them are.
Yes, but what does that mean about this? In a way, we need to focus on what's happening right here and now, don't we? I mean, and with this ruling, I mean, how's it going to go down in the UK to be told, when people are already angry and frustrated and feeling threatened, that their rights as British citizens are second fiddle to those of illegal asylum seekers?
But this isn't a question of rights. We're talking about the rights. No. We're talking about the rights of asylum seekers versus the views and opinions and feelings of some people. And that's not the same as rights.
And safety concerns. I mean, there's a concern for safety, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But those are not rights. Those are views, opinions and concerns.
I think this is classic, though, isn't it? It's classic. It's like the particular over the whole. So it's like we're having this conversation in this country about the one person and of course we care what happens to them. But how does their situation, how is it worth as much or more than what the rest of us as a community or society face? And I appreciate that is always a balance to be struck. But I think, either way it goes today, I think it's lose for the government. I think they're a lose-lose position because, if they're able to keep the bell open, well, my goodness, that's really telling local people that, your safety concerns are not worth as much.
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt about the strength of feeling. I mean, that is absolutely clear. And people have the right to protest and make their voices heard.
Do they have the right to be safe as well, Andy? Because
absolutely they do. Okay. Absolutely they do. But they, I think if you want to go and make your case like this and protest, I think do it outside Parliament and do it as loudly and as vociferously.
No one's listening outside Parliament.
Well,
no one is listening.
Of course they are. It's on the front page of the Times. It's absolutely setting the political agenda.
The farmers went in their thousands outside Parliament. What difference did that make?
Well,
Absolutely
I think that's
none.
a different issue, and I'm sure we'll talk about tax at some point this
Well,
morning.
it is a different issue, but still nobody listened.
And to those in Epping, it is a local issue. I mean, I was listening to a podcast with one of the Pink ladies, one of the mums who'd been protesting in Epping, and she was saying, I'm not political at all. She was like, I couldn't tell you anything about any of the political parties. She was like, I was getting emails from my daughter's school saying, please be mindful of your girls walking to and from school because we have heard reports of them being approached by men. She was alarmed.
I totally
understand. And she spoke to her daughter, who was saying, they try and talk to us most mornings on our walk to school. And that's why she was standing outside the Epping Hotel. So they don't want to be in Westminster. I mean, all this mother's concerned about is that her daughter gets to and from school safely.
And that is completely understandable. I think anybody would accept that. But in the short term, we can talk about the long-term issue. In the short term, these people are here. It's not as straightforward as just sending them back to where they came from. Right now, today, we cannot do that. And therefore, they have to go somewhere. So if they're not in a hotel in Epping, they're going to go into private rented accommodation, probably in the north of England. How are the people in those communities going to?
Well, no, that's
like displacing.
That's a valid point. But as you say, it's a here and now issue. It is, but people would put up with a here and now situation that they don't like if they knew there was a solution down the road.
Yeah.
I mean, if the government turned around and said, actually, yes, we are going to do what Farage has said, and everyone's going to be deported. But then people would have, and I know there are problems with that.
Huge problems.
Yeah,
huge holes in that plan.
Yeah, fair enough. But people would have an element of sympathy and say, all right, we can put up with it for a month.
But this is the problem. And by the way, I'm not particularly defending the government on this.
No.
Because I don't think they've not set out a clear direction of travel. They've not demonstrated that they've got a plan. But the easy, straightforward, we can just do all of this at a stroke solution that Nigel Farage has put forward has so many holes in it. It's unbelievable.
Lo behold me to defend Nigel Farage, but I don't know how anyone can say that it's got loads of holes in it when he set out such a comprehensive package of changes to our constitutional settlement in terms of, I know from my time in Downing Street that it wasn't just the European Commission Convention on Human Rights that was a problem. It was the Human Rights Act, and it was the huge tentacles of legislation that went across government. And so I will give Reform credit for actually pulling together quite a comprehensive package of legislative reform that will at least give the government of the day a better shot at sorting out our borders.